let's see, it's 6:30, so I'm gonna call the February 9th planning board meeting to order. I think present we have Brian Fry.
Present.
Peter Morton.
Here.
Sarah Creighton. Chris Olney.
Here.
Gordon Brister. And we have welcoming our associate members. We have tonight Isabella Bates. And I think Nancy Garvey will be here shortly. And Mark Resnick, our planner. Thanks everybody for coming. Everybody staying warm these days. The first item on our agenda is any public comment on matters that are not on the agenda. All right, hearing none, we will move on. And the first thing we have is our public hearing for 22 Union Street LLC for a special permit. And I will take a motion to open the going to take a motion to open the public hearing for a special permit for the use of a reconstructed and expanded non-conforming building and site plan review pursuant to section 12.6. Do I have a motion?
Second.
We need a roll call vote. We have Brian.
Yes.
Yes. Sarah Creighton votes yes.
Yes. Gordon Brister, yes.
And Isabella you won't be voting yet, but you are present.
That's
Great. Thank you. So I will turn it over to Adam.
Yep.
Thank
you.
Who will walk us through. And you want to ask, do you want to share the any of the any visuals on the screen? So if you add, for some reason I can't seem to give you the sharing rights until you ask to share. So can you Mark allow, please? I apologize for the video, folks. We don't have our normal staff tonight, so we're happy that we got it to work. Okay, so you should be able to share now.
Excellent, thank you. I'm Adam Zager, and I'm here to present the application of 22 Union Street LLC, which is a special permit to use a expanded and reconstructed building for 3 residential dwelling units, whereas only 2 would be allowed in the special permit. We are also asking for waiver of parking requirements for commercial units that would be in the property, according to section 6.1.8 of the zoning bylaw. And we're also asking for a site plan approval pursuant to section 12.6 zoning bylaw, and such other relief as may be necessary. What I'd like to do is to let Chris Vance, who's the project architect, run through the architecture and the building and design, so we can see the configuration of the units and the 2 options that we're seeking approval for. And then I can turn it back over to myself to sort of go through the factors. Chris.
Just one quick thing. Can people online hear okay, or do we need to speak up? You have to unmute.
I cannot hear you. It's very faint.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
When you speak up, I can hear you.
Okay, let's see if we can turn the microphone up. Can you see if you can just
Push this one?
no, yes, the carrot. Arrow.
You can turn the mic up now. Can you just do it on your computer?
I can't because I do not host. Audio setting lower left. Yeah. I don't know if that's gonna have the volume. Microphone on the lower, see down below, input volume? Nope, there you go, run that to the right. There we go, that should be nice. Okay, now X out on upper right. Started. Okay.
You hear us better, Gar?
Is that better, Bert?
Yes, thank you. That's an improvement.
Okay, excellent. We have joining us here, Nancy Garvey, who's our other associate member. Okay, take it away. Thank you.
All right, great. Yeah, Chris Vance, Einstein Architects, 85 St. Francis Drive, Beverly, Massachusetts, with business address. Project architect for 22 Union Street.
Come on in. Sorry, yeah, one more.
Right. So, excuse me, that's a. We also have Peter Blaisdell, is our civil engineer here as well, if there's a that come up. Because I will run through the site plan and the architectural plan. Okay, great. So here is the existing survey of the property. I know most people are familiar with old Cardinal Unlimited building. I located at 22 Union Street. This plan here shows the existing outline of the building. We do have an access drive on the left side, the west side of the site, which serves as a fair drive for our butters. Which gives them access to the rear parking, also gives them access to our parking area. The intent is to raise the building and build, as Adam mentioned, 3 new residential units with retail. Here's the proposed plan. So the post shade, the gray area, is the new building footprint. So it's smaller than the existing building footprint. Current building is an L shape, and there's a wing that goes to the north, which will be completely demolished. There's also a basement, the lower level that will be infilled. So the new building will be built slab on grade and above.
May I ask just one question?
Yeah.
Is the first bit, I can see the existing footprint here, does that go all the way down into a basement space?
Yeah, so the building's an L, and then this wing that comes to the north, this rectangle portion of the building has a full basement under it.
As a full bit, just that rectangle?
Yeah, and then the portion to the right, to the east, is built slab on grade. Yeah, and I say full basement, it's actually like, maybe 6 feet ahead height and built into the ledge, but there is a basement space underneath that. Okay, so the proposed plan here, so yeah, the push shade area is our new building footprint, so it's actually inside the existing footprint of the 22 Union Street. As you can see here, we're proposing 6 parking spaces for the residential units. These will actually be located under the 3rd floor of the building, so they're under an overhang, which will be screened from our neighbors, which you'll see in the elevations shortly. And then the building also steps back. We've purposely designed it to improve the sight lines as you come down the drive so that you have better sight visibility to the left and the right. So you can see that the footprint of the building cants. And it's also stepped back from the street slightly, and it undulates to give some interest at that pedestrian level. You'll see later the 3D perspectives. And then we also continuing the retail storefront. There'll be a small retail space here. That's a continuation of the Gladstone building because we do have a shared view wall between the 2 buildings. So this illustration gives you a little better sense of the site plan. So we'll have landscape areas along the sidewalk at Union Street. We'll have a small landscape area between our property and the butters. We're also leaving area for snow removal, accumulate for, as we can see in this sort of winter condition, we need it. So on this upper right corner, an area for snow removal. We'll also have a screened trash area that would be for the residential units, which is indicated here. And then you can see we have a roof terrace that's above the 1-story retail space. That is going to be private use for one of the residential units. And then those are the 6 parking spaces that will be under the floor.
Hey, I hate to ask, yeah, don't go for it, forgive me. You filled in the basement space in this
Yeah.
section, so that's gone.
That's gone.
Okay.
Yep, no more basement. Yeah, so it'd be filled with structural fill, and then the first floor, which is at the street levels, will be all, slab on grade.
Okay.
Yes, questions or?
Okay.
So we have two proposed first floor plans. One being retail use, second being mixed between residential and retail. So this floor plan that I'm showing you now shows 3 retail spaces. There are a small portion for residential stairs and egress to the grade that divide the retail spaces. And the retail spaces range from about 600 square feet to 1,000 square feet. Retail 3 being the largest, and then retail 1 and 2 being the smaller of the 2 retail spaces. You can see that we have 3 stairs that access the residential units above the first floor. This is option B, second option here. That would be all residential and 1 small retail space. The retail space here is about 450 square feet. And then the additional floor area is divided into the 3 residential units. So you have unit 1, 2, and 3. We're showing a home occupation office on the first floor at street level. And then there'd be a den or a family room towards the back. Again, remember, this is built into the slope. So this is pretty much buried as you move north on the site. And just the front portion of the building is exposed and has daylight windows and access roads. So now moving up to the second floor, one option. This would be all residential units here. So this is the primary living floor for the units. So you move up, you have your kitchen, living, and dining. You have a small mudroom entry off the rear where the residents would park. So each residential unit would have 2 parking spaces. And again, the retail space is only 1 level here. So this would be a roof terrace for unit number 3. So they would have a door that could go out and be exclusive use to that unit. Moving up to the 3rd floor, you'd have all the sleeping rooms. So it's a mix. The 2 end units have 3 bedrooms, and the middle unit has 2 bedrooms. They each have small outdoor balconies off the primary bedrooms that are facing Union Street. That'd be a little clearer here in the elevation. So this is the front elevation from Union Street. So here you can see the small retail space. This is that exclusive use roof deck that's above the retail space. And then these are the 3 residential units, or if we go with option A, this would be all retail space at the first floor. The program doesn't change between the 2 options for the 2nd and 3rd floor. It's really that first floor space that we're leaving kind of a market-driven space, as we had discussed in other.
The footprint is the same.
Exactly the same, yeah. The stairs coming down, it's virtually the same. It's just taking out the office and the bathroom for the residential use, and it would just be a retail space. And
the determination of whether that's retail or residential is up to the owner of it.
Well, so we're going to market the, should I address that? Yeah, so we're going to market the 3 retail spaces. It's not up to the owners of the residential units. Actually, market those as condo retail spaces. If there's not a demand for that market, then we'll build them so that they're 3 residential units. But we wanted to leave the flexibility to have retail space there, which I know, multiple meetings we've had with town officials, and that is the desire, and that's something that we're trying to bring to the town. We've designed it in a way that it's completely flexible. in terms of building code, we would make sure that there's the proper separation between the retail and residential use. That would just be built in. It doesn't have to be retail use. It might just have a first and second floor. So the floor print's the same, everything, the square footage is the same. Literally take out a couple of those residential pieces, being able to for vanilla box retail. So
If we go with option B and I own one of those townhomes, can I convert that first floor to retail?
So if we built it as residential,
Yeah.
you purchased as a three-story
Yeah,
townhome,
the roofing office was the first floor.
I think you could do that without converting to retail, but
Right, it would be, you'd have a home occupation space.
I can also rent it out to PBS.
You wouldn't be able to do that because we've asked for approval of two very specific floor plans. One floor plan just has the one retail unit on the side. The other one has three. So if we move forward with one unit owner would have the ability to change it without coming back and getting authority, and probably in the condo document, that wasn't. And it just was cause a little bit of chaos. We tried to keep things simple with the two very discrete options, either one or three.
Isabel?
If I understand you right, you're going to explore whether there's interest in retail before completing the final plans?
No. That would generally be the last thing that you build. The core and the shell of the building is identical, and you proceed, the upstairs are the same. And it's, at some point, the marketing is going to start, and at some point along the way, if there wasn't interest to build a few retail spaces, you'd have to shift over to the residential, but it wouldn't have any effect on the construction timeline. Because the retail spaces would be the last thing to be finished in a building such as this anyway. You would typically leave the floor with crushed stone, so the retail tenant could choose where they want their plumbing to go. So naturally, it's works from the bottom down. There wouldn't be any effect on the construction sequencing.
Can I just one question, is it possible that you could have two of the units be retail on the first floor and the other one residential?
We would have to re-permit the project with the ZBA because
It's either all retail or all residential.
ZBA was concerned because they need to make what's a 40A section 6 finding the change or pre-existing non-conforming use. They were concerned enough about approving two different iterations, so we didn't want to push it and try to get too many options. If we figure if that's what it ends up, and we have two strong retailers that are interested, I think we have to revisit it at that time and potentially go to the ZBA to have that approved. It's possible, like it's not just something we haven't really thought about it.
So this is, may I continue, Sal?
Sure.
I just have, this is fascinating here. So if in fact there's no interest in retail from the beginning, when you market it, then they could all become residential.
They will all become, there'll be three level.
And you would market as residential unit.
They would be residential units. That would be the floor plan.
Yeah.
With the residential, and those would have.
So it's either or.
Right.
And it depends on what the market says at the moment.
Correct. And even if they are residential, we still have designed them for that home office. I mean, they look like retail. There's the ability for the occupant to have a home occupation, or you could, home occupation is broad. You could do a small little retail operation as long as the owner is the only one that's running the business. So there's still a possibility there, but yes, they would be those retail units. And those are the retail, and then put up the residential.
Do you have any parameters on what kind of retail can go in there? I mean, is it gonna be like a restaurant? I mean, like, it's kind of seems too broad to be like specifically what kind of, were you targeting for retail?
There's not going to be food preparation.
Okay,
It doesn't say if there's residential upstairs that would
right.
do well together. But other than that, just whatever our zoning bylaw has a broad definition of retail use and business. It doesn't really separate out between various categories of compounds, but
And I just want to clarify in option B there, that retail space side that would stay within option B.
that's going to be retail no matter what.
yeah, that's all.
So, why wouldn't
Why would you make condo docs prohibit use of the first floor for retail if the owner decided he wanted it, let's say he needed to come to the zoning board to get a special permit, zoning board, or if the zoning changes, maybe you can do it by right. So why would, as long as, like, let's say it's not, like you say, food prep, that could be seem offensive to some, depending on what you're making. Just regular retail, why wouldn't the owner be able to do so?
I think from my perspective, it's an overcomplication because you're gonna, if those become, that's gonna be what's permitted. So those owners would be looking to make a change that would require would require, because especially because the building's pre-existing non-conforming and it's gonna be subject to the special permit that the ZBA granted. It would, the owner would be going forward and carrying the building into a ZBA process, which is not something
Well,
one unit owner
bring his unit to the ZBA.
Well, and also
Now
if
you're
zoning
asking
changes,
questions
then
nowadays.
you can have
Yeah,
it
but
first
those are
floor by
rules.
right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's continue with their presentation. Are there other things you wanted to present?
Yeah, I can just walk through the rest of the presentation. This sort of dock here. This is the front elevation from 22 Union. As you can see, we have the 3 stories, even though it meets the max height because of the average grade. See from other elevations here. So this is the side elevation. This is from the access drive to the back parking. So here we're providing a screen from our abutter, and you would park underneath the 3rd floor in between those columns. And here you can see the projected bays that undulate along Union Street and provide outdoor space for the residential units.
Can you just walk us through the elevations there, the average elevation, your roof elevation, so forth?
Yeah, so our calculated average grade elevation is 27.85. And so our roof height, max roof height from that average grade is 31.2 inches. We're allowed by right to go 35 feet. Working with the butters, we do not want to max it out and allow our butters to have a view corridor. So we have designed it so that the max height is 31.2 inches from the average grade. You can see from Union Street. Well, Union Street does have a slope, so this is from the first far left unit, which is the lowest point. Is 37 feet, from that front elevation would be 37, but from the average grade, it's 31 feet.
Okay, and you have a full 3rd story, correct? Full 3rd floor, and that was granted a variance by the CBA.
Yep. We're allowed 2.5 stories, but because of the conditions of the site where we had to park, it condensed this 2nd floor. And by the definition of a story, half a story, it can't be more than 2/3 of the floor below, which you can see if we were 2/3 of that story below, we'd only have a bedroom and a bathroom on the 3rd floor. So we really, to make the unit work, we needed to have a full story in there and have parking. But we designed it with the mansard roof, so it really looks like a 2.5 story building. We're maximizing the volume that mansard roof allows you for a 3rd story. And we have stopped at Historic a couple of times, so we did work with him a lot on the detailing materials. So
It's a very nice presentation.
And again, just procedurally, you've received your review from the Historic District Commission?
No, the historic approval we only have for the two-family design, but this is a virtually identical. All the exterior architectural features are virtually identical with this one. So
Yeah, so we'll be going back to them.
that's the last stop, hopefully.
And they did issue us a certificate of appropriateness. Previous design, which if I didn't bring it, but it virtually is identical to this. This minus this, we didn't have any building here. We were abiding by the 10-foot setback by your bylaws. So this was actually just a void, which there was some dislike of that. And then, but this mass itself is virtually the same as it was when it was a two.
And did the ZBA give you a variance on that side setback?
Well, we're not conforming, so pre-existing non-conforming.
Yeah, you're taking the building down.
But the building currently goes to the lot line. You don't need to get another variance when you're constructing a building.
Even if you raise that existing building, is that true? Mark?
That would be for Paul to make it.
Right, understand the average grade elevation versus the sidewalk and someone standing on the sidewalk and looking up to the top of the building. So you talk about 31 feet, so that 31 feet is basically the 59 feet minus the average elevation of 27, is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so someone standing on the sidewalk would, I mean, because it's a mansard, the 59 won't perhaps seem so overbearing, but it's 59 feet above the sidewalk level.
No, it's 37. The 59 is a survey point. That's why the number below Seaver says 36. That's a building elevation. The 59 is a survey. I'll see about the machine. Yeah.
So you guys, everybody should have. Yeah.
And then to get the average grade, we did the points all the way around the building. Average it, that's where you get your average grade, because we have such a steep site there. Yeah, right. And then this is the rear elevation. So when you're standing at the back of the building, it's like a 1.5-story structure. And then you basically park, these are covered parking bays on the back of the building. And then this is the third floor. This is where all the bedrooms are located. Again, we work with our neighbors pretty extensively on trying to minimize windows and just view and privacy. So that influenced some of the.
How many parking spaces?
We've said it's 2 per residential unit.
And do those columns delineate the parking spaces
Yeah, parking.
right between?
So this only shows 2 stories, so the third story is basically no windows. And you explain that it's buried in here.
So
Is that right?
yeah, so you can see this is the first floor. So this is Union Street here. So the back of this floor
Yeah.
is into the hillside. So you only have windows along the front of the building. There's no windows in the back. At that first floor.
Geothermal advantage of doing that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. But but the second and third floor all have windows because they're above that. Yes, we'll have a nice big thermal mass right there. Keep cool. This is the last elevation. So this is if you're standing in Gladstone looking at the building, this is the roof terrace there. So again, you can see it's 1.5 stories up at this level. That's the door that comes out to the private roof terrace that's over the retail space. And again, here's the covered parking area. Here's a elevation along the streetscape, just to give you some context to the surrounding buildings. Height. It's into that streetscape. Here's the building section. So this sort of illustrates how this back is built into the hillside. So there's no windows there, but you do have the 3 stories. So this is either the retail or residential, primary living floor, and the bedrooms.
So that's only built into the back on the first unit right off the drive.
No, that full,
Of the whole time.
yeah, this entire wall
Is underground.
is all underground. Yeah. Yeah, it's about roughly here where you start to like come out of the grade. Quickly, just some of the finishes. This we worked through with historic, but we could use a similar brick that Ricardo is constructed of now. Bring that back, which is along the base of the building. We're gonna have, 2/2 windows, asphalt shingle roofs, wood railings, clapboards. The first floor is going to have windows that represent more of a retail commercial base, so they're larger, or more of a storefront window. And then as you move up to the second, third floor, more of a residential scale double hung window. And then here's perspective, being Union Street towards Summer. You can see how the retail space is a continuation of this retail front, and then it turns into the residential units, and it gives you some undulation and some articulation along the street front. Cargo buildings just very stark and sidewalks narrow. There's really no relief for any sort of pedestrian level interaction with it. This gives you much more, playfulness and airiness, and bringing some vegetation in. You won't have the snow piled up against the building and falling into the sidewalk. So, design quickly. This is a photometric study that we had done. So showing that we are not spilling light into our property, our neighbors' properties. We'll have dark sky compliant lighting. We do have some motion sensor lighting towards the back. We have some safety lighting along the access drive on the wall facing the west side. But again, a lot of this lighting we worked through with historic as well. So we have sort of the brass fixtures, the candelabra fixtures, and all in the package. If you want to see the actual lumen light levels, they're in there. And you can see that we don't spill over to the neighbors.
Unless anybody has any questions on the design, I was just going to quickly run through the bylaw criteria, mainly because we have to. Section 12.5 through the bylaw, it lays out 9 criteria that the board have to consider for special permit use of units rather than 2 that would be allowed as a right. You have to find that the adverse effects of the proposed use are not going to outweigh the beneficial impacts of the town. We think that project easily satisfies all of them. The basic standards. The first one is the criteria that are set forth in section 36.3 of the bylaw, which include lighting. Obviously, Chris just showed you the lighting plan that shows there's not going to be any light diffusion on group lighting properties. Noise, it's a small unit project. I'm thinking we could reasonably expect it to generate noise that would be adverse to the town, especially right in the downtown area. It's a perfectly appropriate place for unit dwelling. Topographical standards, clearing, site's already fully developed. There's not going to be any clearing here, so that standard's easily satisfied. One thing I don't think was noticed in Chris's presentation is that the new design is going to reduce the overall building and lot coverage, so it's going to end up going below 70% that's required in the bylaw. So the new design will actually be more conforming in that regard. Site development standards. It's a bit of a hard one to anthropomorphic, but some of you on the board know, this design has gone through a number of changes. The first standard would have cut it even further back into the hillside. This design sort of brings it up forward, reuses, for the most part, the existing cargo footprint. So in that regard, it's at the minimal adverse impacts on the site and the environment. Pedestrian vehicular access, traffic management, parking. The applicant submitted a parking study to the CPA as part of that process. They reviewed it, found that there wasn't going to be any substantially more effect on the town than the existing use, and that traffic would even be reduced from what it would be if the parking in the building and the rear would be used for retail use. So that standard is easily satisfied. Aesthetics, home run building is gorgeous. I think we'll be back about the town, even from some folks who weren't in favor of this originally. After seeing the beautiful work that Chris and his team has done, the remarks that we're getting on it are almost universally favorable. So we think that standard is easily satisfied. Landscaping, again, there's a landscape plan that I'm not sure we went through tonight, but it's got some unique features. Going to have a little bit more green in there. There's there existing. So that one I think also is satisfied. Utilities, we're right in the public way, direct access. We can get water, we can get public sewer. So we think that criteria is completely satisfied. Fiscal impact, again, that criteria as well, but the tax level is going to advance substantially. This goes forward. The tax benefits, the real estate tax income probably, quadruple from what the town is generating for the site now. Not to mention the fact that we'll have, some residents downtown, frequent businesses, potentially up to 3 additional businesses operating at this site. Moving on to the other criteria that are in 12.5.2, social, economic, and community needs. Again, it's adding some diverse housing to the town. We don't have many townhouse homes like this. So the housing stock is going to get a little bit more variety than it does today. Potentially, we're going to at least have one business location there that we think is an appropriate size. I mean, we've all felt that part of the reason why Carver didn't quite succeed, it was just such a large space and hard for somebody to justify the rent and have that big of a retail operation. So we actually think that even though that space that's shown on the plan there is smaller in size, that it's actually more appropriate and we're going to be able to get some sort of vibrant use in there and potentially do additional ones if there's interest in that 3 retail units. Criteria number 3, which is traffic flow and safety. Again, we've had a traffic study that evaluated the additional traffic trips and the turning radius on site. We have enough backup room for cars to back into the garage and pull out. We're also widening the driveway from 10 feet to 12 feet. So the sight lines will be better than they are today. The building is also cut back to increase the sight line from what it is today. So we think that criteria is also satisfied. Adequacy of utilities, public services, we've covered that already. Neighborhood character, social structures. This building we think is going to fit right in. That's the design Chris has here. Model up, there's some other buildings in town over on Central Street. We think it has the potential to fit right in and become an iconic location for people to drive by. Just as the house up the hill is notable. So we think that it's going to fit right in. Preservation, enhancement, creation of existing or proposed scenic view sheds. Chris mentioned before that it was important to not go to the max to appease neighbors, and the building is also being moved back 2 feet so that driveway farther than you from down the hill is actually wider than what it was, what it is today. So we think that criteria is easily satisfied. Impacts on natural environment, there's virtually none here. Like I said, the site's already fully developed. If anything, the environmental situation is going to be better because that existing building is not in good shape. There's mold, there's deterioration, that they're crumbling onto the sidewalk. So that is all going to be resolved in its project. Climate resiliency and adaptation, the second to last criteria, this building is going to be designed
be much higher standard than what's there today. Quickly go into details if you want to hear them about systems and energy efficiency. There's going to be high efficiency heat pumps, energy recovery ventilation units, electric vehicle charging stations, high performance LED lighting. So just in every way, we think that criteria is satisfied as well. And then the last criteria, number 9, again, fiscal impact, that was already covered in section 3 criteria. But again, adding pastoral, at least one business, hopefully 2 more. Residents right downtown in a site that right now is essentially generating nothing for us. So we're really excited about this. It's been, I think, 10 months since we first met with some of you with the original design. Every time we come back, we think we're done, and then we get suggestions to change it. And I think that we're at a place now where we've got a plan that easily meets the standards that is approvable that hopefully most people in town can get excited about. I guess there would be any other questions.
Yes, parking, I didn't see it in the plan, in that.
Parking?
Yes, parking, but
It's
I
not
guess
part of the.
two per.
Two party.
So a couple, let's see,
Just, could you talk a little bit about the timeline for the marketing and when it sounds as if, correct me if I'm wrong here, that you're gonna start out with a notion that it's commercial space on the first floor.
Correct.
And then there'll be a period of time in which you attempt to market that. And then at some point, you're gonna have to, if there's nobody, so can you talk about the timeline for that, and how it's gonna work?
Yeah, I mean, I think what would happen that I think the plan, as soon as the permitting becomes a little clearer as we go on the market as soon as possible with the 3 commercial units. Looking for businesses that want to set up shop here that have relatively small space requirements, that are interested in renting or hopefully owning their own spot. We think that's a big potential selling point. One of the hardest things if you're a small business owner is paying rent. And so we think that the potential of condo ownership for a commercial unit is going to be very attractive to small business owners, but it's still a question of construction costs, land acquisition costs, and folks that want to make that commitment because it's still a significant investment. So I think we're hopeful. I think everybody is thinking that self-signaling is coming in. That's still a ways away, but I think there's the hope that that's going to bring a lot more people into town and the businesses are going to have a fighting chance. And so hopeful that it's going to happen. I think obviously it's not going to be done this summer. So I think the first businesses will be looking to sort of gear up for next summer, which is a ways. So I think there's some time to see how it works before the plant shifts to residential. And like I mentioned before, filling that residential space is like really the last thing you do. You kind of work and construct off the bottom. So there's time to see if it works, and I think we'll.
It's good. So it's like about a year and a half of trying to make it commercial space.
Don't work that long, but
Yeah, it's probably gonna be like a year of construction, so,
Yeah.
markets tend to speak pretty quickly, and this is beyond zoning, but I think we'll have a sense. Okay. 6 months maybe. Push.
I have a couple of questions. Just to clarify, you're looking for a determination that you do not need any parking for your commercial use, right? That's the issue, because you do comply with the residential parking requirements.
The ZBA gave us a waiver, but we'd like the planning
Yeah.
board's approval
And,
to be consistent.
And so just to, if we were to pass the downtown zoning, any commercial that in that area would need a parking space.
That's right.
So in our current proposal. So that's just to remind people about that. And then a couple other things, how will this affect the, two related questions, kind of, the sidewalk that's there now? And, clearly when you jackhammer up, it's gonna get disrupted. What are you thinking? Would you be open to, restoring that sidewalk to a, town standard, which is still in the development, and fixing the cross slope problem and all of that. So that's the first question.
Yeah, when I met with Chuck at DPW, we could talk a little bit about sort of standard that you guys are developing for sidewalks. And yeah, it would be amendable to looking at standards that you're potentially developing. And honestly, we're gonna be disrupting almost all of that sidewalk during the construction, so we're gonna have to reconstruct it. So we can look at what that reconstruction looks like.
Great. And then can you talk a lot, explain to us how the construction itself will happen so it doesn't disrupt Union Street?
Yeah, so obviously it's a heavily traveled intersection. We understand that. So, you know, we've already started talking to the police chief. I think you guys did receive a memo from him about that we were in discussions, kind of come up with a police detail and a route that they're comfortable with during heavy construction period. So ideally, we'd like to start before the summer season, the spring summer season. So, you know, we're trying to look through zoning board, planning board to get approval so that we can start the demolition of the project, because that's going to be disruptive. The plan is to implode it on itself, load it on a truck, and get it out. And it's going to probably take about a week to do that. So we hope to do that before you know, the busy sort of beach summer season starts. And then obviously, you know, we'll have construction events, keep the site safe. We'll have postings about the schedule. We're already in discussion with all of our abutters, you know, letting them know exactly what's going to be happening, the schedule, so that we can minimize disruption as much as possible. But yes, we do understand it's a busy intersection. It's a sensitive site, so a lot of caution is going to be taken.
And when you're, after you imploded it, then you're gonna start digging out the ground floor, which for the two units closest to the driveway will require excavation, quite a bit of excavation, I would imagine. So that's just a slab there, and you're gonna.
Yeah, that's all gonna be, that's slab on grade, and there's no ledge underneath it. So, you know, we're taking out the existing slab that's there now. We'll be filling in the basement as sort of like phase one with structural fill. And our plan is to use Cargo's existing foundation walls as our flooring site. So that we can then build sort of on top of that and up and using those as short walls.
Any hammering of ledge or blasting?
No, we've specifically kept building footprint inside, you know, aligned with Cargo's footprint, because we don't want to go there.
So then you're building the walls.
Yeah.
Are you, I mean, the outside wall on Union Street, I'm not a construction guy, but I would imagine you're gonna be inside building the wall up, or you're gonna be on Union, how's that?
No, so we'll take down the exterior walls.
Yeah, I'm talking about the second and third stories now, that you're building that, yeah.
Yeah, that will have some, a lot of scaffolding built up on
Scaffolding that'll be on this, so that sidewalk will be likely closed.
Yeah.
Right, construction.
Yeah, we're working out that timeline schedule right now. And if we need to provide sort of temporary crosswalks for that portion, I'm just meeting with the contractor today to figure out sequencing and, you know, exactly we can do it in a successful way. Doesn't shut down the sidewalk. I mean, luckily we don't have parking along that sidewalk. All the parking is on the other side and off the street, so that actually helps because it gives us more opportunity to stage a truck, get it out. But yes, there'll be periods of time depends on what's going to be.
Isabella?
I have seen a lot of scaffolding in which pedestrians can walk underneath it.
Yep, yeah, we're discussing that today, yep.
Would that be a possibility?
Yeah, so yeah, as soon as we get that sort of first floor, we would absolutely do that. We'd have scaffolding.
About stormwater, and I remember one meeting, there was a discussion that there was sort of water running through the basement.
Yeah.
And so, where's that coming from, and, where's it gonna go?
Yeah, so all that water comes up off the hill. Down the, it's all ledge there, and it fills up our basement's the low point. So that's why we intend to fill the basement up, but we're gonna catch the water as it's coming down the hill and have infiltration we're leaving a gravel driveway, I'm gonna pave the driveway up there so that we can get as much impervious surface or pervious surface so that all that water can infiltrate to the ground.
You're gonna infiltrate it in under the foundation?
Well, it'll come down, right now, it all kind of collects in the basement, there's a sump pump that pumps it out into the sanitary system, so, or the stormwater line. And so, you know, we're gonna have to do the similar thing, collect it, infiltrate as much as we can, you know, collecting off the roof of cars.
And it collected off the roof and gutters and put it into the storm system?
The drainage system.
Say that again?
Into the drainage system, yeah. Yes, you take
Into the, just the, so it'll be surface water into the drains, or will it go, will it actually?
So the runoff that Chris was saying comes out the hill, we have a flat area in back that'll be a gravel parking lot that'll slow as much of this around, and then what we'll most likely do is just gently grade it around the building so that it comes down the sides of the building. A lot of it comes down the right of way now, but you want the roof runoff to go down directly into the drain, into the street, so that it doesn't go across the sidewalk and create icing and that type of thing.
Right, so it's gonna physically connect to the storm.
That's the plan. Yeah.
Do we have a stormwater plan?
There isn't a specific stormwater plan, only because it's a redevelopment, so I was gonna talk to Chris at some point about, you know, I don't even know where the existing, like I said, where the utilities are coming out of the building now, we can reuse and what type of condition they're in. That's something we would normally work out with the DPW to see what they want and where they want to connect.
And then, two other quick questions. You divided off a piece of the backland. It's still part of this lot. Is there any, anything besides the procedural? Okay, okay. And then, what about, go back to the, picture of the facade and talk a little bit about, snow fall and ice fall off of roofs onto the sidewalk. And how far back that is from the sidewalk.
Yeah, so our exterior wall here is set back from the sidewalk. It varies along Union Street from 2 to 5 feet as we sort of camp the building back where the access drive is. And then the bays are what, you know, project forward of the exterior wall. Those will have gutters that collect water. So there really shouldn't be an accumulation of ice or anything that's near the sidewalk at all. It's all going to be set back. So you shouldn't really have any issues with ice falling directly onto the sidewalk. The ice does build up. And with the new construction, it's going to be so tight, there should be barely any ice that is forming. Most of these older homes and homes, all the heat's escaping, melting the snow, but it freezes as soon as it gets cold.
But the facade that you just pointed is how many feet from the edge of the sidewalk, just to kind of.
Okay,
I mean, I know.
Yeah, so here
Yes.
it's 7 feet. That's the furthest point away, which
And
is,
the closest point is that one.
yeah, the closest point is going to be Dale State is the continuation of Gladstone. But, you know, it steps back gradually to, 1 feet here, and it steps back to 3 feet, so it kind of undulates along. But as you can see, it's never right against the sidewalk or over the sidewalk.
Okay. And then one last question, 2 last questions. Are you gonna have a natural gas boiler, and if so, where's that exhaust?
Yeah, we're gonna plan on being all electric.
And is there a landscape plan?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, but it was
Yeah, right here.
abstract.
Yeah, so we have a planned schedule. It shows the lawn area, planted areas.
Great, okay, okay, let's go to Chris.
So, it's a tricky site, you guys have done a fabulous job. I want to point out to everybody that by right, you could build a single family house with a front lawn and a driveway or a garage. And this is so much better for the town. Just commend you for putting thought into this to make it work.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
I thought you were trying to do something.
Going back to the snow for a minute.
Yeah.
Clearly the mansard roof won't hold snow for long at all. It'll come right off. What's the top of the roof? Is it flat?
It's a flat roof, but it's a low slope rubber roof.
Because, with the amount of snow that we've had, what's the 3 feet of snow on top of that look like?
In terms of
I mean,
weight.
safe?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah,
it-
everything's designed to be extreme, so it's gonna be structurally over engineered. Every building now is engineered with a 4 times safety factor, so
I have a friend who lives in the mountains and he basically only puts metal roofs on houses so that the snow will come off them.
Yeah.
But it comes off in a hurry and piles onto the side of the house.
Yeah.
But here, it won't cling onto the mansard part for sure, probably would just come right off, but flat roof in Manchester, I don't know. We'll see how much snow we get.
We have lots of flat roofs in Manchester.
Big problem.
Yeah.
No, look at Crosby.
Not today's Crosby's schools, all both have flat roofs. Portions.
Someone once asked me, what color do you want your roof to be? And I didn't even know that roofs came in different colors. I started looking and there's different colors everywhere.
I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, that's a question.
Yeah, I think I agree. Can you consider that parking rendering again? And just curiously, the distance between the columns, because I was just trying to see, and maybe I missed it, but okay, but there's another photo that shows the columns in the building. Yeah, and so those columns are the 6 parking spaces, right? So.
Yeah, this is a little like yeah, so this one's at an angle, so these two look tight, but they're the same.
And what is the width, like, is it a standard width between each one of those columns?
Yeah.
So like 6, 8,
10 feet.
10 feet, and the height is the same height as the, is it 8 feet?
To the underside of the soffit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just thinking because these cars just keep getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you probably want to drive in there with your Hooli E-Bug.
Right.
But yeah.
But there's also the thing, right?
Yeah, true.
Okay, I'm gonna, any other questions from the board?
I just wanted to make a comment. I wanted to second what Chris had to say, because I remember when you first came in with the garage doors right on the street. When I went through this packet, I thought, wow, what a lot of work.
Yeah, it's
So,
impressive.
what a lot of listening and responding to comments. So thank you.
It's gonna transform that corner.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Okay, any questions or comments from people online?
I have a question.
Go ahead, Gar.
So I have 3 points.
Because, I'm sorry, introduce yourself so we have your
Art.
name, address.
I live on 11 Jersey Lane, but I'm also a neighbor because I have a property down the street at 33 Union Street with 7 apartments in it. First, I'd like to say this is historically probably closer to what was there before the second store was taken off of Cargo Unlimited. So it has a historical reference since that used to be a higher property. Secondly, I believe this is aesthetically excellent, but I think it's going to be a challenge for your contractor. And I think this board should be aware of the drawing they're seeing and what gets produced. So that's my second point. And the third point is, frankly, as a neighbor, we are supportive of more activity in the downtown area, and we recognize the challenge of finding new retail or commercial tenants on our first floors. And I think this is a very good approach to finding a solution if it's there. So that's my comment.
Eric, can you elaborate on your second point? Be clear for me about what exactly you mean.
Concerned that our proponent here has both the contracting skills, and it may be that they have chosen a contractor or maybe not, to actually execute what is obviously not a simple architectural plan. And Mr. Vance is obviously a very capable architect, so I know he'll be sensitive, but I think that what comes out at the end is often a little different. And I think that it's incumbent on him to make sure that what is built and his choice of contractors is appropriate. And I think it's, as I say, incumbent on this board to see to it that what is built here is consistent with the renderings that we've been seeing. I actually think the renderings are lovely, but it's not a walk in the park, as they say. So I think it's very important to have the discipline to see to it that what it gets built in our downtown in an arguably landmark location is consistent with the all these wonderful drawings we've seen.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it's a very detailed, there are a lot of architectural details. Okay, thank you, Gar. Other comments from others? Just raise your hand or even unmute and go ahead and speak. Okay. I'm not seeing any. So I think what we probably want to do, we often take a site walk for these kinds of projects, but I feel like we all can take our own site walk and know what the site is. So I don't think that is necessary unless anybody feels that it is. I'm thinking that we've talked about a number of issues predominantly around, repairing the sidewalks. And I think the disruption of the construction disruption and the last comment, need to think a little bit about that. So what I would suggest is that we ask Mark to draft a draft of the conditions, special permit, and site plan review for our next meeting, and continue this public hearing until then, but then try to wrap it up next meeting. With that makes sense to people. I mean, obviously, and we can all think a little bit more about any conditions, send them to Mark that you're concerned about. We may by continuing, we also do give it's a prominent project. We give the public one more chance to have input. So if everybody's in agreement with that,
can we just identify just a couple of conditions
absolutely.
that we talked about?
So I think one is the sidewalk, extending the sidewalk, and then one of the
meaning returning
the sidewalk to. Well, I think the question is we're about to undertake a sidewalk project. So how do we reflect a future that is a little bit uncertain? That's going to be a sidewalk. So that's something maybe we'll let Mark figure out. The construction plan that is
You're talking about the gold bricks now?
gold bricks. ice bricks.
In fact,
The constructability plan, how do we ensure that that intersection and traffic flow are not significantly impeded? I think from my perspective, it's more than just coordinating with the police when you need to shut the road, but how do you actually how does that happen so that is minimized?
So is that something that we have to evolve?
Yeah.
For that discussion and maybe the state tell us
Yeah.
what the plan is.
So I think between now and next week, we need to have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So those are the two. I also would like to just look a little bit more detail at the landscape plan, maybe ask Laura to take a look at it.
Stormwater.
Yeah,
too.
and the stormwater question.
Yeah.
I think the stormwater question we need to check.
Can I ask just one question? Is it internal drainage on top of that roof? You don't run it to a perimeter, you run it to the inside, run it down pipe and out of the building?
currently or for the
You
new
know what you're planning?
gutters.
Gutters, you're gonna run to the perimeter and then gutters.
Yes, it's a big lot of water, it's a lot of water. And you're planning to connect it to but you don't yet know where the existing stormwater system is?
I haven't, Chris and I haven't talked about where we wanna, have a, collection point where we're gonna put it out. We have to find a spot in the drain line just to go out, so I was planning on just getting a comment back from DPW as to where they would like to do that. Which is.
And have you already submitted something to them for
No,
that comment back?
No, just, this is the site plans we've, just generated for the special permit, so we can certainly look at that and get back to you on that, no problem.
Okay.
Your point's a good one, Sarah.
Yeah, I think that there's also the stormwater management portion of the regulations. And maybe we can invite at least check in with them and check with Chuck.
Yes.
And I think if you can provide us with a narrative, at least if you will, of what the plan is for that, so we can, so that Chuck will have something to respond to.
They won't actually be generating more water than what's being generated now.
Right, but that doesn't mean that the water now is being properly
Well,
handled.
who knows what they've been doing now.
Yeah. So that's not the standard.
Needs to talk to Chuck to see what the stormwater regulations that have adopted, how they address
they have-
that situation.
Right, because you're not gonna have any space to treat anything, site.
No, yeah, overall, this is a decrease, which everybody agrees is a good thing, so we'll work out with, what's best for the project and for the town, and, if more water goes into the municipal premises without going across where people walk is better.
Well, yeah. So to your point, stormwater is another issue that I think needs some,
It's sort of remind the board that technically this building has been approved. The board's decision is based upon the request to have 3 units as opposed to 2 units. The ZBA has jurisdiction over the structure of the building. So when you're evaluating these factors, it's really what the effect of having 3 units as opposed to 2 would be. Like, these questions are all, I mean, to me, construction and sidewalks relate to things that happen for any project. It's gonna be the same for a 2-family reno, the same things with regards to drainage. The building is identical. It's just that you've got 3, the request is for 3 units rather than 2. So that's really the scope of what the board's inquiry should be. I think we're happy to come back in 2 weeks just so you can have better.
but you still have to deal, regardless of whether you have 3 units or 2 units or 1 unit, you still have to deal with the stormwater.
Correct, but the building has been approved.
But you still are gonna have stormwater from the building that has to be dealt with, so. Okay, we will talk with Chuck and make sure that we can just understand that there's reasonable, he's comfortable with the narrative that you're gonna provide us. And it's not gonna be a design, but it's gonna be a narrative.
All of these things all fall under site plan
Yes.
review and standards that we adhere to regardless of whether ZBA granted approval.
It's a site, their site plan review, right?
Okay, any other things that you
Yeah,
want to
just
mention about?
related to the discussion with the police is just the whole communication. I think we've learned from cell signaling how important that is for the developer to have a plan in place to communicate to the townspeople, especially as something that's gonna be as disruptive for a short period of time as this. You're just gonna be much better off if you get it out as wide and far as you possibly can. And I think the police chief will help you too.
Yeah, I think Chris has spoken to the police chief. I think the police chief is satisfied with what we're doing. I think this is gonna be a private project, not a public project, so we have the ability to control that messaging.
Yeah.
Directly.
But it's gonna be on public roads first.
You're gonna be,
Yeah.
you're gonna be putting a roadblock right up in the middle of you. Period of time, and I just think if people know that.
Oh, sure, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then the other issue that is in the bylaw is hours of construction, which have a late start of 8 AM. And I just bring that to your attention. That is not, we're not the enforcement focus on that, but it is in the bylaw. And that may fly in counter to working on Union Street when Union Street is not heavily used. So we might want to think about that with police.
Yeah.
So that was another one I had. Okay, any other things right now? We can, this doesn't need to be our only shot at this, right? As they come up, you can also email Mark. Okay, with that, I'm gonna take a motion to continue the public hearing to our next meeting, which is at the 25th, 23rd, right, February 23rd at 6:30 PM.
So we,
Second, I do need a roll call on this. Gordon,
Yes.
Chris,
yes,
Sarah votes yes. Peter,
Yes.
Yes.
Brian, and
Yes.
Sandy. Okay, great. Thank you very much for your well-prepared, nice looking project, and which will see you in 2 weeks. We're gonna get a narrative about the stormwater as soon as possible. Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. The next items. You, Isabel and Nancy are welcome to stay, but you don't have to. And thank you for coming and fun. Okay, the next thing, okay, go watch the Olympics. Thank you. The downtown, we have the zoning, so we really need to get these finalized, and unfortunately for all of you. Chris and I did go through downtown and senior housing with some excruciating detail. And did you make copy for you? Okay.
Yeah, I do.
So good night.
So I'm gonna ask you guys to at least look at the one, pass out the one that we made a couple of substantive changes on rest are administrative. If you're okay with the allowing Mark to opine on the administrative typos, that I'm thinking that would be certainly willing to get your input, and then we'll have a final read of this.
And these are the ones that are already packed.
That's right. So I did get these in the packet.
Yeah.
So the overall thing we did is we moved anything that had a definition elsewhere or a section elsewhere, like parking and height, and into those sections that already exist, rather than putting them in this. And there are a couple of reasons. One is it's where they belong, and two, we've spent a lot of time, personally, I've spent a lot of time cleaning up this redundant placement of parking with every special, it's easier to write it because then the public sees right there that parking is however many spaces and height, but it's better zoning to put parking numbers and height requirements in the appropriate section. So we did that in both of those. And a couple of, just the same with the business of the, where you measure the grade is for height, for example. Okay, so in terms of, oh, did you print out that other alternative table? You? I made, one suggestion on page 4 that's substantive. No, the mixed use. Yeah, thanks. So on page 4, maintaining on any lot not more than one commercial vehicle. We suggested that in the Harbors District, that it'd be planning board, and that garaging or maintaining a more than 4 automobile speed CBA in the Harbors Edge. It didn't make sense that we would have, it didn't really make sense the way we had it listed. Do you see the change on page 4?
Yeah.
Okay. So if there's no objection, this is what I'm talking about. Okay. And then the next substantive change, we'll talk about the mixed use table in a minute. I think on page 9, we had said parking shall not be allowed between the front of a building and the street, in both districts. We had them lumped together. Do you see that? And so I separated them into the town center and the Harbors District, 1 space per residential unit. But in the Harbors Edge, it seems that we don't need to have parking. We didn't need to say that parking should not be allowed between the front building and the street. Think about Crosby's or Madam Haddam or hardware store. And they're all going to have a site plan review. So I think that does not make sense.
Or you wanting
I was going to strike that.
Parking shall not be allowed
between the front of the building and the street. Okay, yeah. But that's a substantive change. And I think the right now that's redundant with I added again on page 9 that says, oh, community facilities, no spaces required, and commercial facilities, no spaces required except for motor vehicle light service, because that was stuck in another section under the regulations. Right. And then the last change that's not substantive, but just to point out, is that section 8.5 now has the requirement of requirements that I've moved from other places, and then a new it's all moved. Oh, the other thing is that I noticed that the section 9.4.10 of the zoning is applicable only to the CHOD. So Mark, you need to check that language in that 9.4.10 and see if it needs to be said or as specified elsewhere. You know what I mean? If the applicability of that section is only the CHOD, I believe it said that's what it says in it, then we need to modify that applicability section. Is that making sense to you? Okay.
So
9.4.10 says shall apply to developments within the CHOD.
Right.
So
well, this is saying utilize the same Portability.
So just to make sure that that works. So those were the substantive changes with the one, with a, that, and I think, yeah, I'm gonna suggest Mark can handle the administrative, and I can, and then I did suggest a new, table for the mixed use. To trying to, clarify the language which we've struggled with a little bit, and, it may not, so this would replace the table on
Six.
page 6, yes, and 6 and 7. So
Any typos we should just give to Mark.
yes, any type of, just circle them and give,
Yeah,
yeah, I certainly probably have,
and there's just a few actually. Okay.
and you know, yeah. 1 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Okay, so my hope was to try to clarify that, yeah, there was some wrong, this numbering and so. Let's start with the bottom one. The bottom one is the construction or conversion of first floor commercial to residential, and that was just categorized under commercial. And I thought it would make sense to keep it under residential. It does a couple things. One is it is residential, and secondly, it just means now we have one table in the bylaw instead of two, one section, you know, it's a little clearer. And then I just, instead of having all these notes, I suggested just having a description. So mixed use with up to 4 residential units and commercial community uses on the first floor with a minimum of 25 feet along the street side, or I should say in a minimum. The words may still need to be in a minimum of 25 feet along the street side, frontage of the building. In. And that's allowed by right in town center, but not in Harbor's Edge. Then mixed use with up to 15 residential units per acre. And commercial community use on the entire first floor. So that's the Harbor's Edge. So those are the two that we're talking about. And it kind of shows how they're different.
So because there's no 8, assume 8 is correct.
Yeah, 8, it was redundant. So I,
These have to be
So
renumbered.
what's Sarah?
They have to be renumbered. I think.
yeah, everything that I didn't worry about renumbering this. The track changes in tables is a nightmare.
Oh, okay.
So that's why I separated this. I also suggested that we add a note at the top of the column headers, town center and Harbor's Edge. Just move that district that says subject to the requirements of 8.5 for the entire district in the use table. So that note, because that note was only in the mixed use before. So
I was trying to think about this. Relative to developments that had happened, that we're pleased to see happen.
that we're what?
That we're pleased to see happen.
Mm-hmm.
So if you think about Brenda Crosby's old building at the corner of school, that would not have been allowed by right because it's only 4 residential units. And it's got 11. So
And the depth of the commercial is only 16.
right, exactly. And I think, and I did express it to you, I think the original formulation of mixed use with first floor residential mixed use without was simpler. I think some of your, I think your attempt to get some of the dimensional stuff out of the table of uses and into other places didn't happen here. And I think it feels complicated, more complicated.
More complicated. Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if it hit anybody that way, but when I thought about that project and I thought, well, it wouldn't have been approved, we kind of would like to see it. So,
Well, it would have because there were already 11 units there.
oh, 13.
13. So that's a different case. But if you think about,
Think about Gar's property with its 7.
yeah, but if you think about 7 Central, which was a restaurant, and that was it. And now has been developed into 3 living units and a commercial
Which is
on the
great.
first floor. I don't know what that depth is of that first floor commercial. But that's what we really want to see is something like that, you know, that's a total increased residential, maintaining street side commercial. So I think that's I think we're in agreement about what we want. So the question is, how do we convey it? And is it better to put the descriptions into the table or to put them as notes?
I think the notes are a little clearer
Okay.
in that. This leaves it open to interpretation or something not want to see what my opinion.
Okay, then that's fine.
That's my only thing, comes with the other.
Yeah, the other stuff, that's,
Our edits and the rest
Okay.
of this. That's my only thing. I don't see any problem with moving if you want to move the D2 to be
Yeah, to the-
like number 9 on the residential. line. But I keep the note that your bylaw already has set up that way with all these laws.
okay,
You know,
that's fine.
it's 15 other notes already.
I think it's a great try.
Yeah.
That's all it was. That's why I didn't try to do it in the. Perfect. Okay, there's agreement that we will let Mark's version stand, and we'll just take another read and make sure it's really worked on. That's totally fine. I'm broken.
But you gotta fight with that table.
I do have one other thing though that is important on the very bottom of this single page administrative. Let's take this opportunity to fix the typo of note 4 and note 5 in the table. I can show you later. Just circle it in big red. No, this table at the very bottom, note 4 in the table 4.2 is misnumbered. So let's use this opportunity to fix it. It's an easy fix, to just fix the typo. It's on the bottom, it's on that back side of this. Anyway, we can. All right, any other? I think I went through the substantive comments. Any other comments or substantive comments that people have? Downtown.
So do we want to do anything about the house next to the railroad?
Mark, you have a recommendation on that, right?
Yeah, I think, I don't think it affects what we're trying to do. Very small parcel forming. That the go to the zoning board, well, with anything they do today, and so
We talking 37.
Yeah, we're talking 37, yeah.
I think it's just better to just leave it out. And,
So we remain in District G.
for the remaining district.
When it still could be commercial.
Yes.
Still could be commercial.
So the opportunity for it to be.
Yeah, so what he was talking about doing perhaps one day was making it 2 units instead of the 1 unit it is today, which kind of goes along with adding some residential to the
Yeah, yeah.
downtown. And he wouldn't be subject to the first floor commercial because he has like the parking is right by the railroad tracks. Probably not bad thing, just to leave it alone.
Right, if we could put it in town center, then that would be different, but that doesn't make sense.
So then it's already
Yeah.
separated by another,
Right, that doesn't make any sense.
so it doesn't.
Okay, do I have a motion to
So
exclude
that we exclude
37
37
beach from
Second.
town center? Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay.
So
They're both
notify them.
here.
Yeah. That's great.
Excellent. Okay, great. Anything else on downtown zoning? So Mark's gonna make these final changes and then we're gonna do one, we're gonna all go through it.
Yeah.
But I think we did a pretty,
So at the select board meeting last week, did we decide on when they're expecting these from us next?
we have to vote next week.
They wanted them
Like before that?
before.
Yeah, because didn't Tony say the seventh or something? It was.
All right, then let's, what I'm gonna suggest is that we, take a motion to, submit, this isn't the final, right? We have, this is what goes.
So this should be the fun, so
Yeah.
I mean. Problem is, that schedule, he doesn't.
Which schedule?
I have it in my,
Yeah.
What's your vote?
Yeah, let's just vote them to, with the edits, and then authorize Chris, maybe authorize Mark to do the changes, and I'm gonna ask, you've got a very good eye, Peter and Chris to review it, in its final form.
Prior to submittal.
And to submit it to, and Mark to submit it to the select board. Okay. Do I have a motion to that effect to approve the zoning bylaw, draft zoning bylaw?
Aye.
All in favor? Aye. Great. Excellent, thank you.
But we're now working off the 2/8/26 draft.
Yeah. Yeah.
And are we in agreement on exactly which ones we're submitting? Is it the senior?
Well, let's go. Yeah, let's one at a time. The next on the agenda is our in article, and I think that one is ready to go. But I think we had it from last time. Until ends 1/12. Thanks. So we're allowing them with planning board of special permit in the general bylaw, allowed in the limited commercial, allowed in town center, and allowed in Harbor's Edge.
These are ends of 12 rooms.
Ends of 12 rooms or less, with one space per guest.
Do we have plus tag?
Probably plus 2
I
cents.
think if we're talking about the town
Yes.
center district, they use.
But in general,
But for
I'm
guests-
just thinking,
But for guests, you really should.
Okay,
let's say, yeah, okay, I think that's fine. Okay, so that, so I'll take a motion to advance the article for inns, to the select board.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, great. The next one is hotels, and I think at the last meeting, we decided that we were, the December 12th meeting, we decided we were gonna table that.
Yep.
Does anybody wanna suggest otherwise at this point? Seeing anybody? So I think we're gonna let that stand. We had voted or consensus was at the last meeting, we're gonna table. Okay, the next one is senior housing. And again, I apologize, but Chris and I did go through that one as well with some administrative changes and a couple of substantive changes. So if I can walk you through those again, sorry
Yeah,
to,
those are the ones in the packet too.
yeah, they were, but just sometimes it's
Yep.
good to have in front of us. Thank you.
Is that different than what was in the packet?
Or two versions, unfortunately, in the packet. One was and this just went in on Saturday. So the first was I changed development to facility. I think we had talked about doing that.
The questions are that I understand mostly be about the marketing stuff. Facility always conjures up, I think, the institutional. Can you just say how do you use
I
it?
thought we had talked about doing that, yeah, it's not a big deal on one end.
Yeah.
Development also, I think,
Development is about that word.
that word.
Facility development, I was just independent senior housing, independent living, senior housing. I just call it housing. The people think about it as home.
That's true. We call it a residential.
You call
It's in the definition of the residential, either development or facility, what do you say, residential homes?
Sounds.
That sounds.
No, that sounds like.
How about residential use?
You can say assisted living, how about assisted living residences? Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, right?
Well, then we have to change, the problem with that is then you gotta go through and change it everywhere. Yeah, because we're calling it independent living, yeah, that's, we could. I just struck development in most places.
Yeah.
I'm gonna we'll think a little bit about that and we can move on to the, oh, I suggested on on page 2, adding senior housing continuing care facility, which we have added a definition, and just saying no across the board.
Yeah.
There are 2 reasons for that. One is it makes it very clear. The other thing is it makes it easier to amend this later if we want to add it. The danger is that it could be amended on town meeting because it's in there, where somebody could say, I think we should have this continuing care in the LCD. But that's a risk I'm certain.
What I would do is I would strike the definition in this.
And strike that there.
Yeah, and that we, something you can add later.
Add there. Okay, that's fine.
That's a good.
Okay, so let's strike the definition. And strike that, that's fine. I just didn't want to have one without the other. Okay,
The other thing as far as language, I would call independent living, I would call the assisted living facility.
okay,
Because I mean, that's what they are.
okay.
Assisted living.
Facility,
Is a facility run by people, independent living.
Independent living, we say housing units with occupancy. I think that what we've got for housing, we can call that a development, peak development. Instead. Okay. So, a new idea on page 3. Suggested that space for accessory uses be limited to 10% of the residential area unless otherwise allowed. So the thought was maybe that's just overly prescriptive and because it's, I think you and I talked, about that, but, whether or not. What?
Why would you limit it? to
Why would we limit it?
10%? Yeah,
Or a percentage, it doesn't have to be 10%.
why?
Why?
They're only gonna build what's necessary because it costs money to build extra space, so.
Yeah. Maybe that's unnecessary. You and I talked about it, Chris. What do you think? Get rid of it? Get rid of it. Okay. You have these ideas and then when you come back to justify them, you think. All right, sorry.
Leave the rest of it, right?
Yeah.
Leave what you put a line through instead.
Yeah.
right?
Right. And then on page 4, we added deed restriction, and I did note that, Mark, you need to kind of put the right stuff in there, but deed restricted wasn't anywhere in here. And these need to be deed restricted.
Presume, but it's better to say it.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, okay, so minimum lot size, now we're to that. Okay, so I took, John Round's, now we have that other piece of paper that I asked copies. Sorry, one more thing. So I took the assessor's records and said, in each district, how many lots do we have over an acre? How many lots do we have over a half acre? And how many lots do we have that are compliant with zoning? Now, I didn't have time to take out the big lots that you're not gonna make into senior housing, which are cemeteries, the schools, Essex County, well, I guess Essex County Club could become senior housing. Probably not likely. Reed Park, so this is, my subtract 2 to 4 in A and general and, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I'm not very good at numbers there. I mean, much bigger.
Over an acre?
Basically, if you go over an acre, I got almost in all the districts, I got almost 700 lots.
They're only like,
They're 2,554 lots.
okay,
And so I don't know why our numbers are different, so we should probably check.
yeah, I should absolutely.
I can send you the big spreadsheet.
Okay, great.
But so there's no worry, I think, because John seemed to be concerned that there weren't enough opportunities. I think there's a bunch of opportunities.
Yeah,
They're sufficient, and in fact, maybe there are too many. So
right. Okay, so if my numbers, what I used an old database that I got from, so you may have some.
I use the thing we use for MBTA.
Okay, so let's go this way. So the question is, what's the right minimum lot size? A lot is gonna have, so I thought a little bit more about this and say in E, District E, a lot, to make a new lot out of an existing lot, you have to have 90,000 square feet, but that's not the right question. If there's a half acre in District E, because that's the biggest. The question is, could that be, that already exists, an existing field or an existing, not whether or not it could be divided, because let's assume it has to already exist. If it's under, it's not, could that be, what do you need to be, how big does it need to be at one of these facilities? And it does seem to me that it does matter a little bit by district, maybe.
I mean, my conclusion looking at the numbers, and I did it over just a fairly short period of time, is that maybe what we say is that the minimum lot size for this kind of facility is the minimum lot size in the district. So
I thought about that, but the problem is that we might have, especially in E, I mean, most of E is half of E is non-compliant, and we have a lot of big homes there where we want to do conversion.
I got 129 lots are greater than 2 acres. And I didn't do this for the other zones, but I did look.
Yeah, I have 128.
Okay, so that number is close. And I threw out the cemeteries and the municipal stuff and all that.
But I said that, there's non-compliant lots in E of 100. So in District E, there are 100-ish lots that are under 2 acres that exist today. And it seems like we shouldn't restrict our senior housing to those that are 2 acres.
Why not? I mean, if you've got 128 opportunities or 129 opportunities.
So I want to turn this around a little bit.
Yeah.
Say, well, how big do you think these facilities should be? The bigger the minimum lot size, the bigger the facility is going to be. So if the character of the town is smaller development, we should be pushing smaller lot sizes because that's going to reduce the number of units.
Well, yes.
So if you have a 2 acre site,
Which is an argument actually for using the existing minimum lot sizes in the district. And the second is if because you also have a cap of 10 units.
So that means the D district or C district,
The D district winds up being out because it's 6,000.
the G district, which would be a good place.
Yeah,
You wouldn't be able to do anything
well, that's because of the cap of 10 units.
because of the lot sizes. Lot size of 6,000 square feet, you're only gonna be able to put one unit.
Just,
So I wondered if,
I don't know how we solve that problem.
I wondered in terms of minimum lot size, if we are just say nothing about it. So you have a lot, it's a half acre and it's in C. So it's an existing lot, it doesn't comply with zoning,
Right.
but you could have 5 independent living there.
With the 10 unit cap.
Yeah, with a 10 per acre.
And
So, yeah, and in that half acre lot that exists today, it's an existing home. I don't think we wanna go to the full lot size, because there's so many non-compliant lots. that
Right,
we
that's
might
right.
have to convert existing homes.
Yeah,
yes,
I have a pretty big house, my lot is non-compliant.
so you remain silent, but you still have the problem that Chris raised, which is what do you do with that 10 units per acre cap in E and G? EG and the downtown district.
well, you just have to go to the half acre lot to get,
And there are some,
and there are some. Yeah.
there are some.
There are not a lot.
In D, there's, I said 4, in G, there's 12, or half acres.
16.
Yeah, 16, I didn't seem to add them up correctly. I don't know why my math didn't add up there, but anyway, the point being, there are some that are half acre or more in.
So do we, so I think that's
Yeah.
a very good idea. The question is, how do you word? You're saying it could be built on a non-compliant lot, do we actually say that?
Because a lot already exists. We have things built on non-compliant lots all over town. We got a non-compliant lot, we're just.
Well, we do have things that say if you can do this, if
If
it's
it's-
existing.
Right. If a lot exists.
Is this a thing that the ZBA would have to issue a special permit?
How do we allow it? What do you think?
I think you ought to have these larger lot sizes, the minimums. Because I think, again, some of these districts, they're highly dense districts and. It's more of like a neighbor concern. Often now a bunch of units and that having larger lot sizes allows you some flexibility of design. So that you minimize that. Not that the impacts are gonna be all that great, it's not like someone built a factory, but.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
But there are some.
a three unit on 6,000 square feet is 14 units an acre.
Yeah.
Right.
This would be less dense than. From that, right?
So if we said half acre in G, D, and B. And 1 acre basically would be. 1 acre in. I don't know, C and E, I'm not sure about A, which way that goes. What do we want to,
That's not many options.
doesn't seem like one size fits all to me.
Yeah, that's,
It doesn't.
and I think it just gets confusing.
Right.
Criteria for.
We're dying of this hill.
No, I don't.
Almost there, Chris. You're right.
Well, the thing that's tough is what you're saying is in some of the, I mean, it's one of Gary's comments. There's the places that would be good for senior independent living housing are G and D.
Yeah.
And the whole idea of a walkable downtown.
Right, but we are doing a lot toward. I mean, between the CHODs and to increase, even those could all be and the new downtown districts, any of those could also be senior housing under the, you know, those can available to seniors if they're not deed restricted. I mean,
Well, that's,
so,
even if they weren't deed restricted. it's
Right.
multifamily.
right, and multifamily, we've done a lot to do multifamily housing,
So I
Okay,
think
sure.
this comes down to is it a 1 acre or a half
acre.
If it's a 1 acre, you're getting a 10 units or more. Every project is.
10 units, which is a small that we
I
want.
start, yeah, if you want a smaller scale, then you have to go to half acre, get 5 units.
So minimum of half acre across the board.
That's what I would argue for, but I'm right, again, I'm not gonna die in this still. Everybody wants to go 1 acre.
You, and,
I would say, you know, it's a both a choice for you to debate and discuss, but I'm just thinking about town meeting and
Right.
getting it passed and trying to just initially kind of do something that might address, you know, not everybody's.
So would a resident I'd rather have 10 unit projects or 5 unit projects?
Well, but again, with that 5 unit project's gonna be somewhere small lot.
So what if we
somewhere
did
as
minimum-
opposed to bigger lot where you have more flexibility. Buffer, screening, driveway location. All those types of site design.
Like I say, I'm not gonna die in this.
So
but what if we did a half acre in B, D, G and the downtown districts, we're gonna put those in here too. And the minimum lot size as 1 acre in A, C, and E. That makes more sense. That makes, at least to me, makes more sense.
You just need to find out what the numbers really are so we can answer your questions.
And
So we were gonna say 2 acres in AC.
yeah. So I think 1 acre in A, C, and E. We want those conversions.
Yeah,
And a half acre in B, C, B, D, and G, and town center and Harbor's Edge need to go in there.
So is that gonna be done in text or a table?
It's gonna be a text in the standards.
Yeah, it's in the.
It could be, I think it
Housing,
could.
yeah, 9.5.4 lots at minimum.
I think it can be in the standards, I think it's fine. Okay, do we anybody object to half acre in B, D, G, town center and Harbor's Edge? And minimum lot as 1 acre in the A, C, and D.
Just rolls right off the top.
It does, it's pretty easy to say. Okay. I hear no objections, we'll move on. The next is just administrative, we moved the 1,500, just the, and then the parking, again, I moved that into the parking table section. Okay, affordable units. Mark said we can't do it this way.
It was a big improvement on the language, the new language. But it,
You can't have, planning board may allow additional units with like no,
Can't do
it
that.
can't be arbitrary. Or you can't do that. Now, although that sounds a little confusing, the paragraph that we had, it's very clear. You understand it, and people are gonna be reading this or developing, right?
But I couldn't understand it, so
Mark, are you objecting to the alternative language?
So the second paragraph, second sentence where it says the planning board may allow units to promote the construction of affordable units. There's no,
it's not specific enough.
yeah,
can we say you had 10% more?
Yeah.
Up to 10% more?
yeah, but again, it's what's the criteria, what's the standard? You may or may not allow it, but.
Well, isn't it
Developer
the
would-
isn't it the standards though of the site plan review or special permit review? Are those the standards?
You can't be arbitrary, but they can apply.
And the problem with using the CHOD requirements is that doesn't have a bonus.
Well, someplace else, if the bonus thing continued to live.
Right?
But I also have a clarifying question on the alternative language, which I thought was much better. 10 to 15 units would include 2 affordable units. I think if I understand correctly, it would be 10 to 14 units would be
You're right.
2. Because 15 would have 3 affordable.
Yep, you're right. 10 to 14. Yes, exactly. So
I don't understand I thought actually the flexibility was a good thing, Mark, but you're saying it's.
Yeah, you can't, it's
just can't.
arbitrary, you can't have arbitrary extra units.
All right, so we're gonna strike that sentence.
That begins the planning board may.
Yes. Mm-hmm. What I objected to in the one above was that I couldn't figure out how many of that 12 units were affordable or how many were not affordable. So I wanted to use the word total units. In fact, it should say 10 to 14 total units. Include 2 affordable units. Let's before we try to worry about the wording. What is our intent? So if you have 2 affordable units in a 10 unit facility, this is independent living. This doesn't apply to assisted living because that doesn't make any sense. So this just applies to independent living. So what is our intent?
Provide incentive to developer to provide more affordable.
Okay, but if I'm building 10 to 14 units, 2 of them are affordable. And then if I want to add 1 more affordable, I can, or 2 more affordable. That's the intent?
I'm trying to think of this an existing building.
Yeah, but just in terms of numbers of units, if I'm building 12 with 2 affordable, I can build 2 more if I want it.
Yeah, sure.
Somehow the math works out better to have 14 as opposed to 12. And
then 4 would be
affordable. And that's a result we would all like to see it.
So could we say double the number of affordable units? No, because they're getting extra units.
So I guess I'm trying to understand what we want to achieve first, and then.
Right.
What I'm trying to achieve, for every affordable unit, you get the bonus.
Yeah, that's a vote, yes.
Yes. So that's a doubling.
That's a doubling.
So if I'm building 10 units, I'm required to build 2 that are affordable.
And now
you can do
propose 12.
But that's only with our discretion. You can't just do it.
If he's saying can't, I'm just.
Yeah, it's not really discretion.
Well, then what you're saying is that's.
Assuming you can make it work on the site and everything else. You'll have to. You can arbitrarily say,
thinking about this.
I mean, it is a special permit, so you can arbitrarily think, oh, but it's just not good for the neighborhood. But
So Mark, you were okay with the original language, which said additional bonus unit and additional bonus affordable unit shall be allowed for every 5 non-bonus units?
yeah, 1 affordable unit shall be created for every 5 units. However, an additional bonus unit shall be allowed for every 5 non-bonus units.
We call them, instead of non-affordable, can we say call them market rate?
Every 5 market rate units.
But it's a bonus affordable unit. Right.
See.
Mark.
Yeah,
No, no.
yeah, that's the question.
The bonus, you have to, bonus to be a market rate unit.
That's where we're.
Yes, bonus to be a market rate unit to help subsidize.
That's the incentive to go.
So
But that's,
You get,
Well, then why even bother having a density limited?
right,
well, you're trying to encourage someone to not build 4 or 9. 14. 14. So that they can.
I see that somebody has their hand raised, but let's just, we'll get to you in a minute, but I just.
If you don't do it at all, just leave it like the MBTA is. 20%, period, see what happens.
So from getting this passed, one of the advantages of referencing 9.4.10 is then 9.4.10 is not subject to amendment. And this is going to for sure get, as written, is very still hard to understand. No, bonus unit thing is that hard to, because then the density isn't really meaningful.
All right, let's just go.
Reference them. Then the other thing is that it makes it consistent with if we have to describe it for the downtown, now we're describing it again. It's
Sure, it's the
Yeah.
same standard.
same standard across the board. And then if we want to discuss bonus units, we could add it into,
Yeah,
in one
no,
place.
that's like-
Yeah. Okay, so
it's
9,
not working.
so, and you don't have to repeat what is an affordable unit too, because it's in that this definition 9.4. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, also on page 5, Chris and I were talking about the size of assisted living with the 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom thing doesn't really make much sense because nobody's gonna build an assisted living facility that's got a bedroom. That's not a unit that's 1,500 square feet. So we said assisted living unit shall have a maximum of 600 square feet unless otherwise allowed by special permit.
We could say 600 square feet per resident.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea.
So.
No,
some of these, I talked to my friends, some of these assisted living facilities have the bigger units, corners of the buildings.
Okay,
They'll have some 1-bedrooms. Then the rest will be like, slash. Really is what they are.
Yeah.
Maybe a little kitchen and something.
So yeah, do we even need that? Do we even need a maximum?
I don't even.
You don't think we need it?
I mean, realistically, you don't, because someone is.
Okay, let's get rid of it.
It's a real facility. So
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
gonna- You're not gonna be building multiple.
Yeah, I agree.
So we're getting rid of the
Okay,
maximum 600.
and we're gonna use for assisted living, we're gonna use the half acre again. And the 1 acre. And add in town center and Harbor's Edge. Are we, that's a question.
No, I thought we decided not to have it versus it
Oh, right,
because of parking and all of that.
thank you.
About the size,
So we're gonna strike the size.
leave it here, and you want.
Oh, no, we'll leave the minimum lot size, same thing, half acre for B, D, and E. Minimum lot size is 1 acre in A, C, and E.
Same 60 unit too,
And we should have a 60 unit total.
but it's in there.
And do we have it
Yeah.
here? Speech. No, we don't have the 60 units on the assisted living.
That's what.
It's just for the
Because we're independent.
independent. So do we think we want to have a 60? I think we need 60.
Sure.
So can you add in the 60 unit max? It's,
Put it under the general requirements.
Oh, okay.
Above.
okay, great.
Yeah.
So then we don't. Okay, and then. I just separated out. The parking from, instead of lumping them together. Interestingly enough, we have to, oh, I know, the first thing was to strike the parking requirements that we currently have for senior housing. Which is 1 for each resident and 0.75 for each assisted living unit. And,
Yeah. Is vague. I mean, do you want to specify it, you just leave?
Because that's in the parking alone, is pretty vague. They submit a staffing plan and they figure.
or can you just review that wording and make sure it makes sense? So I don't think we did any other substantive changes. I do think 1 parking space for every 5 residential units in assisted living. No, it's not.
No.
Staff and
Okay.
staff visitors.
Okay.
Drives.
Okay. So I just moved the stuff out of the, I just cut it wholesale from the narrative in the text and put it in the parking table. Okay. All right, I'm gonna take a motion to advance the senior housing draft 2.6.2, February 6, 26. With a review by Mark and another final review by Peter and Chris to the select board for their
So moved.
all in favor? Opposed? Oh, I'm sorry. I want to take the iPhone comment in case there's some. Thank you. Sorry for.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Gary Gilbert, 11 Magnolia Ave.
Gary, hold it. Can you just hold one just before you, I'm gonna let you speak in a second. We did all receive your email and we have a draft response to your email. And when Chris and I reviewed this, we did look through your email. So we've looked at your email and appreciate your time to put that together. So if there's things that are redundant with that email, maybe you can paraphrase or so go ahead.
Okay. A couple of questions and then I have a recommendation. I'll jump to the biggest one. You just mixed around the zoning districts and saying half acre requirement in B, D, G, et cetera, the town center and Harbor Point. Do you know how many lots in District B are half an acre? Because most of them are right around what's required, a third of an acre. Do you have a count on that or an idea?
You have 2 counts.
Yeah.
You have 2 counts.
I showed 9 are a half acre or higher. So yeah, there are a bunch.
9?
Yeah.
That's not many for the whole District B.
Yeah, but the whole district only has
Are you saying B or D?
yeah, a total of 19 plus.
Okay, then let's go to
The
a more.
district is very few.
Okay, District A, you're requiring 1 acre. That means how many lots in District A are double lot size? How many, because that's a half acre minimum. How many lots?
No, A, we're include.
a 1 acre or more, I looked at that and found almost 140 lots.
That are 1 acre?
Correct. I was surprised.
Yeah, I went to the assessor this morning. She couldn't. You obviously know how to use the database better than her. She couldn't. I used to be able to look this stuff up, couldn't. So you're saying that there's ample opportunity in A.
Yes.
I was going to suggest that you consider that the amount of units that can end, let's not forget about poor District D and G. If D needs a half an acre, you need 3 3/4 of a lot. So you basically need quadruple lot size to do something in District D. And the general district also. I would suggest that you say you already are limiting the amount of units that can be by 15 units per acre. So those, what?
10 units.
10 units per acre, okay. Oh, okay, well then they wouldn't be able to have anything if they're 6,000 square foot lots, but, I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
Correct.
You are correct.
I was gonna say you rely on your maximum density to be your limit and then, and let everybody else just simply have the minimum lot size for their district, except change unit, District E, which would be a great thing, and say that all you need is 1 acre. Because they've really been hit hard because of this upzoning or downzoning to 2 acres per lot. But let everybody else, as was suggested earlier tonight, to just simply have to have the minimum lot size. And they're limited by the density of 10 units per acre anyhow.
I think I'm agreeing with you, Gary, but not quite agreeing with you. I actually think that A belongs in the half acre category because its minimum lot size is a half acre. So
Yes.
anything that's compliant, so A should be in with a half acre. So half acre, which is not.
And unless you do this, District D and G are thrown out the window because they can't, they're never gonna satisfy this.
That's
Well,
not true.
there may be some, I know.
There are a few,
There are a few.
There are a few.
But why leave it to just a few? Why not just say minimum lot size? Because you've got the density already regulated.
Because there are too few units you could create.
Yeah.
For a 6,000 square foot lot, you could do 2.
You could do what? Under your proposed zoning of a half an acre, you can't do anything with 6,000 square feet.
You can do 2.
Okay, do you have another comment, Gary?
Well, no, half an acre is 22,500 square feet.
Sure.
Yeah.
Then you could do 5.
So in District D, you can't do any senior housing.
That's not true.
That's not true.
We have at least 9.
No, I have 13 actually.
Yeah, 9 to 13, a dozen
Yeah.
in District D.
And in G,
Oh.
It's.
We have about the same.
Okay, if you're happy with it, then I'll jump to 2 other points.
Okay, can I just, for our benefit, suggest that we move A into the half acre category? Because A
Yes.
is only a half acre minimum lot size with every other,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so A is a half acre.
Great.
That's lots of.
Two other things. I sent you a letter with a bunch of stuff in it, but in item G, I guess it's on page 4, local preference. I think you should change the language there that the applicant shouldn't have to prepare a local preference plan unless you should just add in there, unless they if they don't have affordable housing units. If they only got 4 units, they shouldn't have to prepare that plan. So you should just say, and change that language that they don't have to do it unless they have an affordable unit as part of their project.
What's your rationale for that?
Because the local preference plan would not, you can't prepare one if you've got a 4-unit elderly housing project and none of the units are affordable. It's not relevant.
What basis are you saying that, Jerry?
Because you can build up to 4 units. Once you build the 5th unit, then you need to have, that 5th unit has to be affordable, correct?
But affordable and local are different.
No, but if you've got 4 units and you're just renting them, why do you need a local preference plan? Is there such a thing as a local preference plan if you're renting apartments?
Yeah, we're saying that you can give preference to somebody who lives in Manchester who's
For a rental, for a 4-unit rental building
Sure.
that's deed restricted to 55, you're gonna have a local preference plan, which sounds cumbersome, and who's gonna administer it? And I thought it was only relevant to affordable housing units.
I don't know that that's true. I'm not aware.
Is it true?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a cumbersome thing. I mean, you do it if you're on a register. This is from my understanding. If it's registered, then that comes into effect, or it's an option once it's in a system. But there's no system if there's only 4 units or 3 or whatever. And the other thing is in the independent living 954 E3, you have size limits, and I suggest. And if someone doesn't comply with those size limits, they need a variance. And I suggest, because we have such an idiosyncratic town, houses on dead-end streets, isolated from others, all sorts of odd situations, give yourself the latitude by saying, adding to that, unless the special permit granting authority, which would be the SBGA or which would be the planning board, determines that it is in the best, however you want to word it, in the best interest of the town to allow larger units. So that way you're not locked into it. And I know John Round agrees with me that these unit sizes are fairly small, which has an advantage to it to keep the prices down. I support that. But you should allow yourself the latitude when you're granting a special permit to use the special permit for what it's for, a special consideration of something. And it gives you guys a bit more power, control, but also control and review. And
Isn't that in here though?
no.
It says unless modified by
By the
special.
oh, we added that.
Yes.
Chris and I added that.
The new
Yeah, you don't
version.
have a new version. It said unless modified by the special permit.
Your suggestion has already been taken.
Your suggestion, yeah, we
agree.
we agree.
Gary. So Gary, I'm gonna read you, I just Googled local preference for senior housing. Here's what I got. It allows municipalities to prioritize current residents, their family members, municipal employees, and local business employees for new, affordable, or age-restricted developments, often up to a 70% cap in areas like Massachusetts. These policies aim to help seniors stay in their communities, usually requiring proof of residency through documents like voter registration or utility bills.
Okay.
And you and Mark, maybe in your experience, don't see that as being too cumbersome. I didn't realize that was allowed and already flagged. But is it too cumbersome a demand, or if
I
not?
don't think it has to be cumbersome. No.
Okay. All right. I thought it was part of a much bigger thing. Okay. Those were my comments. Thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you for that, Gary. So to Gary's point, I failed to mention that I had added in unless modified by special permit for the sizes of the units. So that is a substantive change. Sorry, I didn't make that.
But it's a great change.
Okay. So we voted this, and we did just make the change to move A into the half acre, which I think makes sense.
Yeah.
Make a motion to do that.
Okay, can we make a motion to move District A, the minimum lot, here's the motion. The minimum lot size for both independent housing and assisted living shall be a half acre in in districts A, B, D, and G. And for and independent living would include town center and Howard's Edge. And the minimum lot size shall be 1 acre in C and E districts.
So you're moving the assisted living also?
So, yes, but assisted living is not gonna have town center or Harbor's Edge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Do I have a motion to that?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Yes.
Okay. Great, unanimous. Thank you. Okay, so that's senior. Yeah.
Anybody?
Yeah, just fine. Is anybody else online waiting to talk about any other zoning ones? Okay, great. That's, thank you. Let's do that.
Can we just first, do this very quickly?
Okay.
No, that's the one other zoning thing, which is I had a discussion with Sarah Melish this morning about changing the accessory use.
ADU to District D.
ADU for District D. And she would like us to consider changing the ends for the D1 and the D2 to ZBA for large accessory dwelling.
I thought I saw that.
Yeah, I prepared that.
Yeah, I saw
Yeah,
that.
no,
Yeah,
so-
that's great, yeah.
But we haven't, the question is, do we want to advance? And something else, as part of that, when I was doing research on this, the heading for 9.1 currently says special housing provisions, and it really should say
Yes,
accessory dwelling unit.
that's a mistake. Clerk's gonna fix it.
Oh, good.
Yeah, that's just
It used to say that.
It used to say, yeah. Okay. So the question is, would we consider advancing this on behalf of the CBA? Be a quick yes or no, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think it's a bad idea. I don't know whether the select board wants to take it up.
I think we should take it to the select board. I mean, if Sarah's asking to do that, and it makes things simpler, why not?
I'd agree with that.
I mean, if the select board says no, okay.
Okay, do you have, is that a motion?
Make that a motion.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
So
Okay,
you-
Wait a minute.
you're gonna ask Sarah to bring it directly to the select board.
No, we're bringing the select board on permit.
So you do.
Yeah.
yeah,
All right, I wasn't sure.
okay, we have, we only have driveway entrance, so let's just finish this, sorry. I know you've been waiting a while, but let's get through this. Driveway entrance bylaw, again, we skimmed it, you looked at it more. And I think the only change that's needed there is to say that the regulations are gonna be promulgated by the planning board. That they don't say how the regulations are.
Okay, yep.
So, and then we do have draft regulations, which we should
We should adopt.
adopt them and finalize, which we have not. And I think we can't do it until the bylaw passes.
Yeah.
We need to be given authority to promulgate
Well, it'd be
regulations.
nice, Bill, that people are gonna ask whatever.
Right, so we should have the draft ready so people
Yeah.
can see.
So I'll put it on the next agenda. The last draft I had comments, I think, from Chuck and myself, so I'll incorporate
Yeah.
everything, so we'll get a nice clean copy.
Yeah.
Probably put it on the next.
Yeah, that's fine. I think, so I'll take a motion to advance the driveway entrance bylaw with the change that regulations are promulgated by the planning board. To the select board.
So,
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. So Mark, it's the 122 document that's in here, the one that's in the packet.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, before we do housing production plan, let's have a discussion with Peter Constantine. Great, welcome. Thank you for your patience.
This is my neighbor Chris Day, who
Hi.
lives on the other side of the property. Do I go here?
Sure.
Or just sit here?
anywhere.
Anywhere you want. I can bring up the plans if you want.
Yeah, sure. I might as well make it official.
Yeah.
I can pull it up. I'm on the Zoom too.
Oh, sure, yep. Yep, you just have to ask me for permission.
Gonna pop up on the screen.
I'll ask you.
Oh, it's gonna pop up there, yeah. Oh, you got the magic touch.
Yes.
Okay.
So I sent Mark a little PowerPoint that I did earlier today. I just want to set the stage here. I'm Peter Considine. I live at 25 Pleasant Street, which is this house where my cursor is, right here.
Okay.
And about 3 weeks ago, I purchased 115 School Street, which I've been looking over the fence at for the last 11 years. A handful of you, I think, or maybe many of you have been there and are aware of the conditions of the property. And I'm really here just looking for guidance. I have some thoughts and plans. I'm not a house flipper or a real estate developer. I'm really here as a community member and a neighbor who saw an opportunity, saw a problem, and had some inspiration and decided to get involved. You know, we'll see if that was the right time or not. But my plan is to live in this house that I'm in now for the rest of my life, and having a lot of concerns about what was going on at 115 School, and really think that it's a very nice property in its own ways. And when I started here, they had big July parties and an active residential scene there, and it just went downhill. And I've long kind of looked over the fence and just had dreams of expanding my property. And then ultimately, as you know, I know it's a public forum, as things got worse over there, it just got to be really concerning as neighbors. And Chris can maybe speak to that at some point. So again, I'm here looking for guidance and feedback. And when doing research, I fully understand that we're in the A district, which has some real limitations to what you can do. But again, I bought it not to make money, not necessarily with any specific plan, but just to purchase a property that I really loved and have some say in where it goes from here. So what I'm hoping to do, just pull up the other deck here. I wouldn't be here so quickly. I have to stop sharing, please. Be here so quickly if it wasn't for town meeting. My plan was to spend quite a bit of time cleaning up the property, which I'm sorry, I seem to have X'd out of that deck that I put together. I can pull it up, but it's easier for someone else to.
This stuff is in our packet. I don't know if it's.
It's been
like
progressed a little since here. I'm sorry.
Email the.
Yeah.
Email
There it is.
I didn't email the whole presentation.
So I just did this today when I was nursing my Super Bowl hangover, trying to avoid real work. So this is the property. This is my house here. And I did want to talk just a little bit about the current conditions of the house. So anyone's welcome to come by at any point. We're actually getting all this junk out of here later this week. So we're at a really exorbitant expense to myself. We're clearing all this stuff. They're saying 39 dumpsters to get all the junk out of there. So, and I have something to gain out of this. So I thought maybe bringing a neighbor down who isn't involved in this, maybe to just talk about what we've been dealing with the last 10 years, or I guess you've been there for about 5 years. 4. Okay, yeah. Chris, want to just give me a little?
Yeah, I mean, so background, Chris Day, I live at 117 School Street, moved in there in September of 21. When we first got there, I was actually invited over to 115 to meet with the former owner of the property, A.S. Dion, and went in and, it was a little bit run down. But over the last 4 years, it's definitely gotten substantially worse in terms of, a degradation of kind of the back area with the pool. And it sounded like a zoo back there, a number of kind of animals that seem to be kind of moving around. More recently, we did some work in our back when the fence between the two houses went down, the contractor was, kind of saying, hey, you've got some stuff going on over there that's, a little bit concerning. And, then went in with Pete, more recently, and I can say, from 2021, September-ish of 21 to present, it's gotten substantially, more challenging, in terms of its physical layout.
I think it'd be helpful to get to the
Point?
where you want to go,
Okay, sorry,
because
we made the
we
point,
have-
it's a
yeah,
disaster.
yeah, I mean, that's,
And Chris, if you wanna go, it's fine. I
it's,
appreciate you going.
I'm not relevant.
So I know it
I
doesn't
think
have much to do with the
Yeah.
zoning. I totally get that. So here is the current zoning. We're in the D zone at 25 school. This is all in the A district, B district across the street. Every home in the A district, other than 115 School Street, does not meet the frontage regulations and tends to have buildings that are within the setback requirements. And just looking at my options here, I recognize they are relatively few in the A zone. So in pursuing alternatives, what I am planning to do and hoping to do is to submit a citizen's petition to rezone the A district portions on the, I don't know which side it is, at the east, on my side of School Street, the 4 properties to the residential B district, which would allow for the 3 homes above me to now be conforming to the frontage requirements and really meet what the area has for lot sizes. And additionally, it would allow me to, what I ultimately would like to do is find a path to subdivide the property. Because when I looked at opportunities to create 2 housing lots out of this 1.3 acre property in the A sub-district, the only real potential path would be through demolishing the house that sits up front, which has some real historic qualities to it. And the more time I spend in it, and once I get past the junk, it does seem like it has another act in it, so to speak. And to demolish it only to be able to use this half acre of land in the rear just seems like a shame. And it may be what I ultimately decide to do. But this plan, I think, is a pretty elegant solution to create ample access for a modest home in the rear, to allow for the primary residence to remain. And ultimately, what I'm hoping to do is expand my property, which is what I've been dreaming about, looking over the fence all these years. So again, I have a plan, and that my plan is to start with my neighbors and get signatures on a citizen's petition to rezone the property. I obviously recognize this board has a lot to say about that. And I'm really not trying to jam anything down anyone's throats. And I'm just looking for feedback on what you all are open to and any guidance you're willing to give me. That's the last page. Oh, I should just give a little summary here. This is the A sub-district and the B sub-district. Just from listening, guys, it sounds like you have this stuff pretty well screwed into your head. But it would allow our neighborhood to fit more into the village than it does. It seems like that A sub-district doesn't really necessarily meet what our part of town reflects, and allow for another home to be built in Manchester. And the only thing I'll leave is that part of this is I have a brother who's 11 years younger than me that's been looking for a house for 2 years in town, and I hope that he's ultimately a resident of that rear parcel. I can't promise that that's what he hopes, but it sort of spurred this thinking on, you know, I'm just gonna buy it and we're gonna figure it out. And I know a lot of people come up here that do this a lot. It's not my day job. And it's a very big investment for myself. And I'm hoping just to have a open discussion about how to maximize the value and the benefit to the neighborhood and the town of 115 School Street. That's really it.
So, Peter, could you put up again the map?
Yes.
So that plan is, because if it were in B district, it would be conforming in terms of frontage. Is that what you're trying to achieve?
It would allow for conforming frontage. It would allow for conforming lot size of all of these lots. It's still a concept, so it's, you know, it's by no means a final concept. Again, I bought this 3 weeks ago, and if it wasn't for the planning board meeting, I'd just be out there with my, you know, with my dumpsters messing around with it. But since this planning board is coming down the pipe, I met with Mark and he told me what my timeline was. I said, no, I might as well put these exhibits together and take a swing. So again, it's very much a concept and ready to be evolved. It would probably still require variances, even within the B district. So I'm not by any means saying like this is me asking for you to approve this plan. It's more putting it on a path to turn a 1.3 acre property in the village into 2 homes and retain the existing physical plant.
You have enough acreage to do 2 homes. What you don't have, what you want is the addition to your property, and that's the piece that precludes the division of this property into 2 lots.
Well,
We've got frontage problems.
Well, you could do a subdivision road.
correct. Yeah, it's if I were to stay in the A district and decide that this is about maximizing my exit here, I would demolish the house, put a road down for Stace, the side of his property, and have 2 lots here. And I can do that. But again, I really don't want to demolish the house, and I would like to expand my property. So yeah, I agree.
I guess my point is when you're saying it can't be 2 house lots, I think I disagree with you in its current form. The wild card here is that you want this addition to your property.
Which is fine. You should move to the big house. Put your.
So, this would be by citizens petition. The other, one thing we don't talk about enough, but I'm looking at our maps right now, this is in the watershed protection district, which is arguably, some of the stuff, you know, why are certain parcels zoned per way? I don't know, sometimes it's like anybody's guess, but but that might be one of the criteria that was used for that. So there are additional requirements that we don't pay enough attention to, but for development in that area. So
what are the implications of that, Sarah? It's zone 3 of the. Looks like it's zone 3. I don't know what the difference between.
Hopefully about storage.
Storage of runoff. And for this services.
So I think you're smart to include the other properties in this rezoning effort. Otherwise, it kind of looks like a spot zone thing.
Understood. I was advised that since it's be across the street, it's not officially a spot zone, but I agree, it just flows better, it makes more sense.
So
It also solves their non-conforming issue.
So if you're going to do a citizens petition, are you asking the planning board to support it, not oppose it?
I guess support it. Start there. But I'm really here for guidance, you know, because I understand that you guys have been around that property and I, you know, I'm a concerned town member. The last thing I want to do is have the perspective of coming in and trying to, you know, make a bunch of money or jam this down the town's throat. So I'm here just out of respect and looking for guidance and, because this is a big deal to me. I want to do it right. I want to do it respectfully, and I'm also at peace with if it doesn't work out. I'll figure it out. I'm not that stressed about it.
So I need to explain a little bit of background. So the Affordable Housing Trust tried to purchase this property also. And so there's a bit of complication in history here. The plan was to use this property to create something like 10 to 12 to maybe 15 affordable senior condos. So we didn't win out in the competition to purchase the property, so here we are. But I will point out that under the senior housing bylaw we just discussed, change the zoning, you would be allowed to create, it was an acre of, well, it's probably 3/4 of an acre there left over
Where?
after you take out your piece.
Oh, yeah, plus or minus.
So you could probably create 8 senior condos, 3 in the house and 5 in the back or something, without having to subdivide the property. Except for your own little piece. Just as an alternative, something you could do.
Chris and I have had a couple of conversations, and I'm open to any path on the balance of the site. Again, I'm thinking about my brother and his family for that rear parcel.
He's here.
No, he's 30. He's 11 years younger than me. He's scratching and clawing. Both dead. Sorry. So I don't see that in the rear park portion, to be honest. I want to be straightforward. I'm going to put both properties up for sale once I figure out, you know, or whatever's left is going to be up for sale. And like I told Chris, I'm not a big NIMBY. I see what you're doing as a positive for the town. But I'm also, I don't want to be sort of put in the corner on having to do anything. Certainly at this point.
It's just an option. I'm just presenting.
So I'm open, but I'm also like, I'm stretched just having bought it and cleaning it out. So I can't build 8 senior housing units. I just don't have the time or the skill set to do
You
it.
have to turn it over to someone else.
Yeah. And so, and the other thing is I would really like to see this house stay up. You know, again, it's like, it's got a lot of good character to it, and the bones are, it's sort of the higher you get in the house, the more okay it is. There's 3 floors up there. So the 3rd floor is pretty darn good. The 2nd floor is okay. Ground level is what you saw.
But none of the zoning change or a subdivision plan or a sale has any guarantee that the house will still stand. I mean, they're all these are independent things. The subdivision that you propose, whether it would, you know, we'd have to review an action plan, whether the house would remain standing is conjecture. We don't, I mean, those are all things that we'd like. I agree, the house, you know, got a lot of great character. But for me, the question before us tonight is, do we want to take a position on a rezoning? And I think we don't have, I'll tell you my opinion. My opinion is that the board should not advance this right now. We haven't thought about it long enough. And we have, as we, my little chart showed, we have half the parcels in town that are non-compliant with the area. Forget frontage and setbacks and everything else. And to me, there may well be a justification for a whole bunch of rezoning in town. But taking this doesn't seem like a comprehensive look at our zoning district boundaries. And so that's just where I come down on, it just doesn't feel like the way we should be addressing our zoning district boundaries.
Just procedurally, so everyone
Yeah.
understands, the citizens petition would get submitted to the select board's office and then they would place it on the warrant.
Yeah.
The planning board, like any zoning article, will have to hold a public hearing, just as if you put a zoning article forward, or the select board puts it forward. And then you would have to vote or hold a public hearing, and after which you would have to vote a recommendation at a meeting. So those are procedurally the steps.
I guess I was taking one other option is we could adopt this as our own idea and move it forward too.
I think he's willing to do it by, unless of course. I was wanting to bring it forward, but in my experience, a lot of times, where it benefits a small number of lots. We've let it be done by petition, kind of supported by the board, when it makes sense. And so that's why I recommended do it by petition, but at least come and inform the board and discuss it.
And then maybe that's unless somebody wants to advance it as I guess I was trying to get to, do we want to does anybody want to?
I think it's appropriate to
do a citizen petition.
See, it's appropriate for him to do the citizens petition, sure.
But to be sure I understand the process.
Yeah.
So we, as the Board of Jurisdiction, will be required to hold a hearing about the citizen petition and to hold a public hearing and then make a recommendation.
Regardless of what you think about it.
Right.
Yeah.
So regardless of what you think about it, you are required by statute for any zoning articles to be submitted that are submitted, no matter by whom. There's several other boards, zoning board can also submit articles, planning board, select board. That might be it actually for zoning, in the petitioners, and the planning board is required of a hearing and required to make a recommendation.
We have to send a report too, I believe.
Yeah, well, that's the recommendation. It can be as simple as one line.
Right.
We recommend this by motivation.
And so is your hope that if you were to drive the citizens petitions, your hope that you get it on this town meeting coming up in April?
Yes. Yeah. Got everything that I need other than the signatures, and I just wanted to have this meeting first, just in case it sort of swayed my path at all. So, and I hear what you're saying about that none of these things are definite in terms of keeping the house or really anything else. And I bluntly agree with that. Like I could sell the house and someone else could demolish it, and whether I like it or not. So I don't deny that one bit, but I can tell you that my heart is in the right place about what's going to have happen here, which is just to expand my home. So maybe that we could stay there on more of a generational basis, and to allow for one more home to be built in Manchester, and it will not be a large home. I'll make make sure of that.
I have two thoughts. One is just two comments. One is that it is in line with some of the board's general thrust about increasing density along, already populated areas. So it fits with that. Certainly goes with what's across the street. And I, when you think about what people love about town, it's idiosyncratic appearance, which is in part because things occur piecemeal. And so while it's not part of a comprehensive look at things, it's in the direction that we've seemed to have been going. And it also, is consistent with getting things. What is it you say, Chris? You talk about the diversity and the variety in the town. And that's an after effect. That's a result of things happening in this sort of manner. So.
I wasn't necessarily looking for we're gonna push it forward. It was really just, and I know you guys have been here for several hours, so. Yeah.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, I think we'll wait to hear from the select board that you submitted a citizens petition, and we'll be back here for a public hearing.
Okay.
Great.
Nice to meet you all.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thanks for your
Thank you.
patience tonight.
Of course.
Right, we have the review of the housing production plan proposals. Mark, can you just give the brief, what is the housing production plan and what's your recommendation?
So the housing production plan, it's a plan, it's supposed to assist communities and increase the supply of housing, and evaluate certain things and come up with things. In some towns it's useful, in those towns it's prepared or not. I've been communities where this done here about preparing housing production plan. And the only benefit really is that it does allow you to, besides what it comes up with, I find interesting in some interesting statistics about community and about housing in general, is that once your plan is approved, you do have that ability to or safe harbor from 40Bs. However, safe harbor, contrary to what a lot of people have talked about, really is a meaningless kind of term because of the time it takes for a 40B development to go through the process. So, so if the town gets safe harbor today and someone chooses to work on 40B, by the time they do their site pre-development information and puts together enough of a plan to submit to Mass Housing and get financing, go through that process, that's 6 months in, and then eventually they have to then prepare better plans, which take several more months and file with the ZBA, by which time the 1 year safe harbor is over. And so, if you get a 2 year safe harbor, they still sometimes those processes, I've done 40B, where it takes like a year through the zoning board. So, but it is something that we should move forward more because some of the information is useful. It may not get used a lot. Sometimes you can't identify certain parcels with certain things that you may want to move forward toward, whether it's town land you sell for affordable housing or other land you identify that community, like one did before, didn't really evaluate other land or come up with some properties or areas that we would want to put forward for additional housing. So we have three proposals. We have one by the consultant Karen Goldenberg, who did the original plan 10 years ago and then did the update 5 years ago. Her price is right around $20,000. We have a proposal from Judy Barrett. I didn't ask her to put together a full comprehensive proposal because her price is twice as much. It would probably require her to, she wrote in her email, additional work, trying to get up to speed with the community on additional public meetings. And so, and she didn't write the first one, so she probably end up reformatting. So her price is twice as $40,000. And then I talked to MAPC about putting a plan together. And their price, they said, I think the email was somewhere between 60 and 50 and 60. Or 60 and 70. Yeah. And then Essex recently having hired them to do it, and it was in the papers. It was something like 55.
We don't get any local assistance that.
Oh, you can apply for some.
His letter said they do it, right?
What?
The NHPC guy's letter.
Yeah, said you can apply for some of those funds. We'll pass for those funds anyway.
Right.
Take care of some of it. So we do have CPC funds that got approved last year to
which funded it the last time too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
your recommendation is that we go with Karen's.
Yep.
Karen.
So can I just ask a question? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What is this every 5 year
Yes.
expectation and almost requirement? Is it okay, recommendation?
and that's why, most of these plans just fit out.
I would say-
Realistically, and that's why I'm not recommending you do this big, like, ladder plan. And I know Sarah likes to do that, but.
No, I don't.
It was Karen 5 years ago in the pre-connect and found her to be very thoughtful and.
I looked at some of the report. It's interesting.
Yeah,
no,
it is interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've actually made some changes to that time this happens to zoning, which will actually maybe really put me a little bit, so. Okay, take a motion to follow So Karen
move
on our board's proposal to prepare the housing production plan as recommended by our planner. So we have a motion and we have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
And
thank
how
you.
long a process is that?
Well, it may take a little longer because she has to update all of the census data for the 2020 census and some new housing statistics that also come out from that. And so it may take a little longer. She'll probably want to do a couple of meetings with the planning board along the way. The process requires that the planning board endorse the draft plan, and the select board is to do that. Then it gets submitted to the state, who reviews the plan, sends back any comments. There's a final set of approvals by the adoption by the planning board and select board and final okay from the state. So it's kind of like multiple steps, I guess.
Okay, we have a bunch of minutes. Okay, first one, the sidewalk 218. I can take a motion. Gordon was not there and Sandy and Brian were not members yet, so I'll take a motion you to move that. And you're gonna second on favor. Three of us can vote yes. Public forum 6-9, no one was absent. Peter moves.
Yeah.
3 seconds. Any discussion? All in favor, aye. Sidewalk, okay, the next two, the 9/3/25, everybody was present. Motion
Move.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
The regular meeting, October 14th. No one was present. Do you have any comments? Okay, good.
Correspondence section, the fifth bullet,
Okay,
there is a Sandy mentioned who did something and it wasn't me.
that's probably Sandy Rogers.
Right, but she's simply referred to as
Yeah,
Sandy.
Sandy correspondence, Sandy is Sandy Rogers. 1014, with that amendment, I'll take a motion.
So
Peter and Sandy seconds, all in favor? Aye. Okay, 11226, Peter was absent. So, no, you trend.
No, still.
This is a test to see if you're paying attention.
There are mistakes.
What?
There are mistakes in.
Okay, you want significant?
Well, it's misunderstanding mistakes. District boundaries. They talk, okay, third sentence, the child. It's not the central Hardwick overlay district, it's the community house.
Yes.
And then there's a similar sort of mix up on the density bonus for affordable housing. It's called the chat, which has a very funny history, actually.
Okay, to fix the chat.
Movies, it's
All right,
the
let's review that one next time again. Okay, that was the 12th.
That was the 12th.
Okay, so we're gonna hold on that one. You,
What do you want to hold it?
oh, okay, you're, those
Just make
two
those
days.
two things.
Okay.
And there's actually a somewhat unclear, about 20% affordable units for developments. I think,
That's a 20% bonus, it's probably the missing word.
no, 20% affordable units for development with more than 5 units, but it's with five units or more.
5 or more units, yep.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, I'll take the motion to approve, January 12th as amended. Second, and Peter can't vote, everybody else? Aye, okay. 115, that was a working session. Brian, it was, Sandy, Chris and I were there. Take a motion to approve. 115, Sandy seconds, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, did the regular 129 get in? I don't think they got in there.
It was our last meeting.
No, that was her. That was,
Was that the joint meeting with?
that was the joint meeting with the select board.
So.
No, they don't.
That was here.
I don't think they're in the packet. We're gonna hold on that one. So we did not do the 29th. Okay, good job. I'll take any other discussion or public comment. So James.
Jane.
Great, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck tonight. Thank you, everybody. Wow.
Sarah, thank you to you and Chris. Over that stuff, it's fine too.